Hello again, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us at the AIGA Baltimore studio tour with Duckpin. So this is a 4-part series every week for Design Month from 12 to 1 p.m. on a Thursday. You can get to know different agencies in the city. And so we're really excited to have Chad from Duckpin today. A little bit more about AIGA before we get started. We are members of AIGA, which is a professional association for design. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization that advances design as a professional craft, strategic advantage, and vital cultural force. So we are a volunteer-run organization, and we're always looking for members to join. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out. My name is Kim Loper. I am the AIGA Education Director, and I'm also a designer at Alpha Graphics, which was featured last week. So before we get started with the tour, I'm going to welcome New to say a couple words about the upcoming event, Spooky Barbecue and Paint Night on October 28th, which is some programming for our Design Month.
Hi everyone, welcome. Thanks for coming. So I'm New. I'm the VP for AIGA Baltimore, and on the 28th, it's an event that you don't want to miss. It's going to be from 6 to 9 p.m. and it's called Spooky Barbecue and Paint Night, celebrating creativity. So this will just sort of be an unofficial closing party for Design Month, and all are welcome. You don't have to be an AIGA member or even a designer. If you have just even a little bit of a creative bone in your body, you are welcome. And you can bring kids as well if you'd like, but there will be barbecue, obviously. And then also a lot of fun giveaways that you'll have a chance to enter as you come in. If you dress up in a costume, you'll be automatically entered into our Halloween costume exclusive giveaway. And because Blue Pit is a partner of Barks, if you bring a donation for Barks based on the wish list on our event description, you will also be entered for a pet exclusive giveaway as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of different ceramic and like wooden items that you can paint however you please. There will be a tarot card reader, which is super cool. There'll be a photo booth, it's fun music, and like it's a great time and a great way to network with other people as well. So please, if you haven't registered, definitely get your tickets. They're hot. People are getting them. So we are closing sales on the 22nd, and make sure you get your tickets before then, because there may not be any left over. So yeah, I hope to see you all there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, New. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Duckpin. We're really grateful to have Duckpin with us today. Duckpin is an integrative agency focusing on creating complete and cohesive brand experiences. So today we have Chad Birenbaum. Did I say that correctly?
That's perfect.
Awesome. Who's the creative director and managing partner of Duckpin. Chad, would love to hear a little bit more about Duckpin and yourself.
Sure. So I'll start with Duckpin first. So Kim gave the elevator pitch, which we changed a lot because, you know, it just depends on what the buzzword of the day is. She said fully integrated. I think sometimes we're full service. Essentially, we're a one-stop shop for design and marketing. So we're sort of internally have 3 different teams. We have a creative team, which I'm head of. Then we have a web team. So we have 4 internal web developers. And then we have an actual digital marketing team internal as well, which is a mix of content writers and digital marketing specialists. So essentially we can take a project from concept. You know, some people come to us and they don't even have a name of their company, and we'll do name creation to full-on branding, create a digital journey from building a website, and then actually able to market them for years to come and push their message out or their products out. So that sort of developed over time. Originally, when we started, it was myself, it was Andrew Woods, who's our CEO. He's going to be in the video for a couple seconds later. He was head of web for us. And then Cara Bonadio, who happens to be my wife now as of 2 weeks ago. She's been my business partner for, 8 years now. We've been around and we've worked together for 13. And thank you for the congrats. It was great. I was telling New, I'm a graduate from Stevenson University, but when I graduated, it was Villa Julie, and thought it would be really cool to have our wedding there behind the art wing. So sort of in between the art wing and the where I had all my design classes. So there's a little courtyard and we got married there. It was pretty awesome. So that's sort of Duckpin. So it's going on its 8th year on the 29th. Prior to that, myself and Kara worked together for 10 years at a previous agency, which was a packaging design firm. So we cut our teeth in that. Worked with Andrew there for 4.5 years. And one day just kind of decided it's got to be more out there than just making trash, really. I mean, seriously, we did packaging, made a lot of garbage. It was good looking garbage, but it was still garbage. But the interest sort of came from, what happens after it goes on the shelf. So we can get something to the shelf, but then what happens? And we sort of wanted to start exploring the digital journey, we'll call it. So, can we do web design? And then what happens after web design? And just sort of organically, we built these 3 teams under one roof. As for myself, I said, I was in AIGA in like 2001, 2, and 3. I went back to school at the age of 25, graduated at 27 from Stevenson. Don't want to give the appearance that I went to school for 10 years, but I went to school originally, started as a fine art major. Fine art was great, just wasn't quite sure how I was going to make any money doing it. Went into graphic design in like 95, 96. Got really frustrated. I wanted to be a cartoonist originally, and it was frustrating going to computers. And back then the computers were not as fast as they are now. Decided graphic design wasn't for me. Then I went into video, hated that. Dropped out of school for a little bit, went to music school for music recording engineering. That was awesome. I got into a lot of hip hop and R&B production, which was fun. Then I got in a band and that was cool. And then, I'm like, what am I going to do with all this? And one day I was driving by Villa Julie, heard a commercial on the radio of all places, and it said, classes forming now for visual communication design. Literally went home, made a phone call, spoke to a woman named Lori Rubling. New probably knows her. She kind of became a mentor of mine. Her son actually worked here for 7 years. He was my first employee here. So he left to go do his own thing, but we wish him the best luck. And Lori was a mentor of mine, and she was great. So it was sort of fate at how I got there and my journey to Stevenson. But honestly, I think my education really helped me get to where I was today. So that's sort of that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's really important that people hear all the ways you can take your experiences to get you to the next point in your journey.
I will say that I think a lot of my experience, especially, when we show the video, there's a lot of hip hop references, and sitting right behind me is actually one of my turntables that I used when I was in production and touring and stuff, which is pretty cool. And we've sort of integrated that into the office, but it's in a lot of my design now. So that, I think borrowing from that culture or taking influences from that culture and bringing it into my design is really something, that's stood the test of time with me. And it's something I always, as much as that industry's changed, I kind of always go back and look at some early work of mine, and I'm like, oh, I could see where that influence came from at the time.
Right. I love that. I think it's so important to know like where those roots are and how to articulate them, because they show up in ways that you can't really always anticipate. And it's like, oh, wow, that's that thing that I had nestled in my brain 10 years ago that I can't seem to let go. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. So just really quickly, so everyone is on the same page, we're going to show a virtual tour of Duckpin. Please feel free to log questions that you have in the chat, and then we're going to open it up to a Q&A after the video.
Hey, what's up? We gotta head back and shoot that video.
Is that today?
Yeah.
Shit, I didn't even get my chicken shawarma yet.
Well, we gotta go.
All right. Well,
I guess let's just do this. Hey guys, what's up? This is Chad from Duckpin, and we're gonna take a tour of our office. But first, I'm hungry. I didn't even get my shawarma, but we're gonna hike back. So, Kevin, let's do the hike back and try not to get arrested by this guy. Sorry about that pit stop. We walked all of 100 feet, needed to pick me up. Let's go. Welcome to our office building. This is the Cranston building in Towson. Our landlord says it's iconic. Actually, I don't really even know what's iconic about it, but I just think he used that in the pitch to get us to rent from him. But it's an awesome building. Been here now 7 years, moved offices twice as we've grown. So I'll go ahead and take you upstairs. Hey guys, thanks for going on that long journey with me. It was all of about 1.5 miles, but you know, it's great that we can just jump right outside our door and be in the heart of downtown Towson to all the bars and restaurants around here, which is why we love this building. So I want to take you on a little tour of the interior of Duckpin HQ. Over here we have one of our breakout spaces. We wanted this space to feel like a really cool, just laid back living room. Didn't want people to feel like they had to be at their desks all the time, and just kind of wanted to give them a quiet space to hang out. We have Vinyl Thursdays. As you can see, we have a turntable set up, and we have a bunch of other just random pieces of knickknack that we like. So I'll take you into the fishbowl. It used to be called the Creator Room. It earned the name the fishbowl, probably because of all the glass. And I'll introduce you to some of the team. To my right over here is Joe Seitz. Joe is one of our web developers. Have Ryan Dunn over there in the corner. He's also a web developer. And here we have Zach Insco. He's also a web developer. Over here to my left, we have Phoebe. She is one of our SEO and copywriters. And then in the far corner, hiding over there, is Joe T. Joe T is one of our designers. Come with me and I'll show you the conference room. This is our conference room. It's where we have conferences and where we meet with clients when we're able to, as well as talk about projects and do some strategy planning. And we've also been known to watch some Bob Ross and some 70s game shows on there. So it's also a great little happy hour space, as we have some beverages over there in the corner. And now I'll show you around the rest of the office and show you some of the leadership team. So this is another one of our breakout spaces that we have. It's just got 2 seats. It's great for having a quick conversation or to go over something like Pantone colors or an upcoming project. This is Kara Bonadio. She is one of the partners here at Duckpin. Kara's office is pretty dark, but it's quaint and cozy, and she likes it. So, what'd you say?
Mood lighting.
Mood lighting. So, this is Kara. In this office, we have Sean Mulcahy. Sean is our VP and heads up sales. And then in this office, probably one of the most important people here at Duckpin, this is Andrew Woods. He's our CEO.
Welcome.
In this office here, we have David. David is also part of our sales team. He is one of our newest employees, and he's been a great addition to the Duckpin team.
Greetings.
This is my office. That's why there's no one in here. But I do tend to work from time to time. In this office, we have Dustin Douglas. Dustin is our client care manager and in-house Madden expert. We also have Dustin's obviously a big golfer, so he has some golf posters in his office, right, Dustin?
Oh yeah.
I had to help him pick them out, but it's good. So, last but not least is Maren Jacobs. Maren is our head of operations. She handles project management. Maren is actually our longest tenured employee of 5 years. So Maren's been here through thick and thin. And that's it. So that's our space. Don't need to show you the bathroom and the kitchen because everyone's seen a bathroom and a kitchen. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to fire away in the live session. So I have to apologize to Kevin, who's sitting behind me right now. He actually recorded the video and edited and put that together, and I did not introduce him in the video as he was filming, but he's logged in. So I wanted to give him his shout out as he's behind me and couldn't have done this without him.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was really great. We'd love to open it up for questions at this time. If anyone who is in the Zoom has burning questions, feel free to throw it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself, put your video on, whatever you're comfortable with. I know I have some questions, but really just want to open this up for some dialogue.
I see a lot of Lori is the best. She's awesome, and I'm glad she's speaking at one of your events. I actually got featured for 8 years. I had a sneaker company and actually designed sneakers and got to show them there at I think it was the Case. I can't remember. It's downtown in the Case factory, Case something or other. But it was really cool to exhibit there. I will tell you, the question of how the pandemic has changed office dynamic and workflow, that's been challenging. Honestly, that's the biggest part of it. Was one day, March of 2019, we're in the office and thriving and doing well, and a lot of hustle and bustle in here, and 14 people at the time in the office. And we had just moved in here. We just built the space out in September, so we'd only been in here like 5 months. And, the news came and we're like, everyone, we're going to go remote. See in a couple weeks. We didn't realize it was going to be almost 2 years. And it's changed a lot because you have to manage teams externally, which is tough. People like to work different hours as much as you might want people on 9 to 5. Some people are just more comfortable getting work done different times. So, really, as long as the project gets done, that's fine. But it's still hard to meet online. You just kind of lose something that you normally get when you're vibing off of each other. I think that's been the biggest thing. I'm a creative person myself. So when you're not there with somebody, or, hey, can you come take a look at this, or look over my shoulder, you have to log in, and you just kind of lose something, I think, with that. But every day is different, and we need to adapt to it. So if it becomes the new norm, that's fine. But, I think that you do kind of, as a creative person, you kind of thrive off other creatives around you. And I think there's a little bit of a loss with that over video. It's just something there. Most challenging part of my role and my job. So I'm sort of 50-50, a designer and a manager. So I have to manage teams, have to wear different hats every day. Sometimes it's accounting, sometimes it's chasing down a client that's not giving us information. So I got to play, some project manager. And then I start to design. So I'm still one of our top branding people here. So I have to drop that hat and then wear the creative hat. So that's, for me, it's probably the hardest, just juggling different hats at different times.
Wait, I have a follow-up. Can I follow up that question? Yeah. Curious about, if that is typical in Duckpin, being the size that you are, do a lot of your staff or partners have to wear a lot of hats? Are people kind of dipping in and out of different roles? How do things work in terms of that workflow and responsibility?
Sure. So we're 12 people, or 13, I think now. So I guess the people that are on leadership have to wear multiple hats. So Marin, who you saw in the video, she started off with me as a designer, then art director, and then she went into project management because she wanted to kind of change. So she's operations, and sometimes we're like, hey, Marin, I have some overflow. Can you, do these mock-ups or something like that? Kara has transitioned into content, but she's a really great designer. So other times, she's doing that, and operations. Andrew, CEO, juggling a lot of things. He's, sometimes people don't want to pay. He's chasing them down. He's worried about billing. And then he's an awesome web developer. And, the web team goes to him a lot and says, do you, have an answer for this? Or, hey, can you jump in on this project? So a lot of us do wear other hats. We found out Kevin, again, I got to shout him out. All of a sudden he said, I used to have a production company. I could do video. He does video and he does digital marketing for us. So, we like Swiss Army knives. around here, I guess, as opposed to like surgeons that only do one thing. We like to have our
Mhm.
staff sort of be a Swiss Army knife. So yeah, everybody just kind of wears different hats, and we have a motto around here. It's one of our core values. It's sometimes you just got to roll up your sleeves and get dirty and
Yeah.
get the job done. So everybody
Right.
contributes. So
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I think that's pretty typical. That's how we
yeah.
role as well. And it's a good opportunity to, with with certain dynamics, to like grow into other roles that you're interested in, or to
Mhm.
try new things that you maybe didn't come in knowing.
Yeah, one of our newest designers, we have two Joes, Joe T. He worked, like he only did UI, UX and web development at his last job. So he didn't get a lot of opportunities with branding, and I don't think he'd ever done any packaging. And as far as I know, there's not a lot of agencies around here that do packaging design. So, you know, I wanted to get him caught up on that and sort of helped him through like the packaging design process. So now he's doing more packaging. So that's really been cool for him. And it's been great for me to see like him, you know, learn that skill and kind of grow into that role where he's just not a UI UX guy anymore. So
Yeah, that's so interesting. I love that.
yeah. I see here, it says, what are some of my favorite projects I've worked on? My absolute favorite project that I've done was 2 years ago. I was coming back from North Carolina. My dad lives down there, and I was on a road trip, and I got a phone call from a client. We just done a huge branding project for a company called the St. James. They're a sports complex just outside of DC, like 500,000 square foot sports complex. So we're talking, you know, like Olympic hopeful kind of people go there, and the Kevin Durant trains there, like big people train there. So we did a huge branding project for them where we actually named like their restaurant and did all the branding for the restaurant. They have a sneaker shop, so did all the branding for that. And, you know, they liked what we did, and they said, look, we hired a company to do environmental graphics, but they're not getting the job done. Like they just don't understand our aesthetic or what we want. Can you do it? And I said, I have no experience doing this whatsoever. And they said, but you know our aesthetic. Like, what's the difference if you're designing for a wall that's 10 feet or a wall that's 200 feet? So that was about a year-long project, and it was designing 500,000 square feet of space.
That's so cool.
Down, you know, like I said, there's a restaurant, so it was coming up with graphics for the restaurant, down to menus, wall graphics, and then large spaces that were 30, 40 feet high and a basketball court wall. So I learned a lot on that, especially, you know, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and that was completely untrue. I got to work with Gensler on that. They're a huge environmental graphics company, to the point where we were actually fabricating hardware for this space. So again, learned a ton, got to do some really cool stuff. And yeah, I did a sneaker display that hangs from the ceiling. Like that was really cool.
Oh my gosh, that's
yeah,
so cool.
yeah. And I mean, I was a giant sneakerhead, so for me, it was like dream project. So that was really cool. So that was definitely my favorite project. And we hired also for that. And I see somebody said, do we outsource photographers, videographers? Kevin does some video for us, but we do have other videographers that we use. Photography. I've worked with some great photographers over the years, especially food photography. That is a skill in itself. Food styling is a skill in itself. So we do hire them from time to time as we do food packaging. For that project I was talking about, the St. James, we did these 30-foot high sports illustrations, and we hired a illustrator out of France who was awesome to work with. And he did some really, really cool stuff for us. Never met him in my life. Found him on Behance actually, and he did some cool work, and we hired him from there. So yeah, we work with different people all the time. So I see New asked about the new Duckpin brand. So we were talking about that offline before this started. Behind me is a new branding for us. I think we rebranded, it was like August, probably started rolling it out in the beginning of September. When we first started, we sort of had this vintage bowling theme. And for those of you who are not from Baltimore, don't know what Duckpin is, some people are like, are you the beer company? Well, that's Union Craft Brewing. They have a beer called Duckpin, but Duckpin is a form of bowling where you get 3 chances to knock down these smaller smaller pins and use a smaller ball. And when we were coming up with a name for the company, we were like, what's has 3? You know, what's unique about 3? And there was 3 partners, 3 of us started it, and just felt like bowling was something we connected to. It was Baltimore. It was hard working. It was roll up your sleeves. So that's where that came from. So a lot of our look in the beginning was sort of taken from like vintage bowling. And then what happened was over time, organically, we started to get clients like Under Armour, Stevenson University, University of Maryland School of Medicine, a lot of doctors and lawyers. And, you know, we felt like we needed to button our look up a little bit. You know, like the vintage thing didn't resonate with everybody. It was fun. So now we sort of went into this like sleek design, and people, you know, just want to know that there's a company behind them that's strong. So that's what the new brand sort of represents. It's also a little more adaptable. A lot of people would contact us and say, I love your branding on our website, but we wanted our clients' brands to kind of like take a little bit of a shine there, not our brand.
Yeah,
so
that
was
your
the
versatility.
inspiration. Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, I'm just reading the question. So
yeah, no, go ahead.
So yeah, so when we hire designers, like I said, we love Swiss Army knives. We love people that have a wide range of skill sets. You know, like I mentioned, Joe was somebody that he's a full stack designer, which I hadn't actually heard that term till he came here. And I said, well, what is that? And I had to look it up. But he can handle UI, UX down to web design and actually do development, which is great. We've had to throw him in, again, wearing a lot of hats, said, I need a developer. We got two away on vacation. You know, can you dev out a site? And he did it. So I think a lot of times we just look for a wide range of skill sets. I'm sorry to the people that are going to be graduating soon. We usually just hire senior designers. And just the reason for that is, you know, we're a smaller company. A lot of times we need people to just jump in like right away. And I'm not really at a point where I can mentor like a student, although I really want to. So that probably will come as we grow. So I tend to look for people with, like I said, a little more experience and a wide skill set. So I personally have not done too well with the mentoring of younger people, but again, something I definitely want to do when my time personally frees up from having to wear a lot of hats. So yeah, particular industries, I guess it really depends on the project. And what I mean by that is, you know, we handle kind of everybody, you know, from startups to Fortune 500s. So, you know, one day it may be Under Armour that we're working on. One day it could be a startup food company. It could be a tech project. So we don't really have a particular focus. We do have a lot of doctors and lawyers and integrated health that we work with, which, you know, it's great. They're emerging businesses, and I'll say no day is ever the same. So that's, you know, some people like to be a little more focused, but our day can really run the gamut of clients, like I said, from startup to Fortune 500s and from, you know, everybody all over the place. So ultimate dream for Duckpin as an agency. Ooh. That's tough. I don't know. I mean, we just want to be successful and continue to grow. And, you know, I know that's sort of a softball answer, but the ultimate dream would just to continue to watch it grow. We've had a pretty steady growth performance. We're pretty smart about our growth, and I just want to continue to set the course that's been on. I don't want it to grow too quickly. I don't want to see it, you know, get out of hand. So I guess just honestly, keep going. If I had a dream job, if it wasn't Duckpin, I would probably be the creative director for GQ magazines or a bike company. I'm really into mountain biking. I just love that culture. I know those are two different ends of the spectrum, but that would be my ultimate job there. And I guess here's a good question. Somebody said, what advice would I give to a designer who is interested in working at an agency one day when they've been working as in-house? I would say, you know, it really just depends on your portfolio there, and just try to get a wider portfolio. You know, like when you do in-house work, and I did a lot of work at my previous company. I had done a lot of work for Stanley Black & Decker, and that was a lot of my portfolio was just stuff for them. And I wanted to branch out a little more. So, and I wanted to get more into branding. And what I would actually do is, create branding projects, or I would go to do rebrands of companies that were out there. That was always kind of fun. And when you're passionate about doing it, at least I could look at your portfolio and say, like, this person's really well-rounded. I understand they were in-house, but they have a wide skill set and they understand design, and their design vernacular is great. So I think it's really, it just depends on what's in your portfolio there. So I would say try to make it just a wide range.
Very cool. Thank you for all these questions.
Yeah, this has been great.
Yeah. What is like a day is there like a typical day at Duckpin, or like what is the kind of work culture like at Duckpin?
No day is ever the same here. I will tell you that. Like this morning, we had a coffee snafu in the kitchen. Honestly, like no day is the same. And I think that the reason for that is just because, as being a full service agency, you sort of get a little bit of everything. And some projects touch all departments, and everybody's working together at that point, where some days you're kind of on your own doing things. And again, it's a lot different working for a company like Under Armour when you're, trying to crank out 1 million assets for an upcoming like fall season versus, you could be on a 6-month branding project. So no day is typical. I've done the all-nighters, I've done those kind of days. So it's just, I take everything as each day as it comes. And I like that. I know people that like sort of routine, but it keeps you on your toes when every day is a different day.
Definitely. Is there a culture around kind of how you work, or are other designers able to work in a style or method that works for them, or kind of like how do all of those work styles fit into your company culture?
So over time, we've developed a lot of processes, which I would think has helped us a lot. So in the beginning, when it was me, Andrew, and Kara, the three of us, everybody knew what the next person was going to do, right? So it's like, I would take this, Andrew would take this, Kara would take this, okay, break the huddle, and we'd come back and everybody would have done their part. But when you have more people and you're involving more skill sets and more components, you kind of have to rely on everybody as a team again, but your communication has to be tighter. So one thing we really preach around here is teamwork, and we do try to communicate with each other. As far as skill sets, we do try to give people like pieces that we know they're gonna like sort of thrive in. And then again, we want to actually get people like Joe T a little more well-rounded in other areas. So we actually try to sort of pass that work on and sort of coach people up. So I would say teamwork, from a culture standpoint, it's really, it sounds cheesy, but teamwork makes the dream work, and it's true. If everybody's not firing on the same cylinder there, something gets gunked up. So
very cool.
Yeah. What advice would I give to someone who wants to start a freelance or start their own company? So I'll tell you, when I started my own company, which is Duckpin, which is 8 years ago, and I had started some other companies, like a sneaker company during that time too. You just got to take the risk, and you got to believe in yourself. And it's scary and exciting at the same time. I was used to getting a paycheck every week, and for 6 months I didn't take pay. I'd save things up just till, to the point where the business was stable enough that we could start paying ourselves. And it's scary. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It was a lot of adrenaline, a lot of long nights. But I really think you have to just believe in yourself. And somebody once told me, plan your work your plan. And that's something I try to, instill every day in myself. So if I could say anything, about starting your own company, put it down on paper and just try to work towards that goal, and, just take the risk. It's tough. I mean, it's scary. Like I said, it's scary and exciting at the same time. And both things will happen to you. You have a lot of ups and downs, but if you don't ever do it, you'll kind of say, oh, I should have, could have, would have done, would have done that. and don't be afraid to fail if you do.
Right.
So.
Definitely. We've got one from New. What has been the most valuable lesson you've learned on your creative journey?
I'd also say there, don't be afraid to fail, honestly. You know, like when that company called me up, the St. James, and said, can you do this work? I was very transparent. I said, I've never done environmental work. I don't, you know, but I wanted to do it. And in the back of my mind, I also had to be not afraid to fail and go ask somebody that maybe knew how to do it. So I would say, you know, don't be afraid to fail and don't be too proud to beg, as they say. Sometimes you have to admit, you know, maybe I took this on and it was too big for me, and I need some help, or try to, you know, use resources around you that can help you get something done. But again, I think failure is a good lesson, and it kind of helps you do something better the next time.
Right. Absolutely. All right. We'll take maybe like one more question if we've got another question. Burning, lingering, last questions. This has been really awesome for me. It's just always so interesting to hear what other agencies are doing in the interior. So really grateful that, that you took some time with us.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on, and thank you for thinking about us. And I looked at your list. You got some other cool, like Fearless is really cool. They're a great company. I know they're down in Spark, so they have a cool space. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that segue.
Yeah, there you
do
go.
a little plug for the next event. So next Thursday from 12 to 1, we are going to be featuring Fearless, an amazing tech company that's doing a lot of really cool intentional stuff around equity in the tech field as well. And our last event is going to be Indigo Ink. And so we really hope that you are able to join us for the other two events. This event is going to be, it is recorded, so we will send this out. But yeah, if you have any other questions or interest in Duckpin, I'm sure that Chad would be willing to take emails, questions, anything like that. And likewise for AIGA, if you're interested in joining as a board member or volunteer, please reach out to us. We do fun stuff all year round, and we love connecting our community and making it as small as possible. Any other announcements from the AIGA team that I'm missing? Awesome. Well, thank you all again for joining us. Thank you again, Chad, and thank you again, AIGA. We're so happy to have everyone here in conversation. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, folks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.